So once again, we have another edition of Worst Take. And on Worst Take, we go around the NBA media landscape, whether it's a podcast, a blog, a tweet, a group chat comment, and we react to anything related to the Knicks. And we react to it, we give it a grade. 1 being trash, all the way up to 5 being facts. You guys at home, you guys are the judges. You let me know your takes. Leave a comment in the comment section. And on this episode of Worst Take, Amare Stoudemire talks Knicks. Here is the question this is from the Run It Back podcast. Here's our esteemed panel here. The Running Back podcast talks Amare and Knicks. And let's react to it. Here we go.
After that Phoenix run, then you go over to New York and you reunite with Coach D'Antoni. I had him down in Houston, so I know the vibes with D'Antoni. And then later on in February, Carmelo Anthony joined that group. Why do you feel? What's your thoughts in hindsight? Why that team didn't quite get over the hump? Because you guys had a hell of a lot of talent and were highly touted. Why do you think that particular group didn't get over the hump?
Well, when I first got to New York, I wanted to go to a place. First of all, I was raised in New York, right? I moved to New York in the 3rd grade. I was there until high school, basically. So I was familiar with New York. But then also, D'Antoni was there. And so I felt like it was a great reunite situation to go to New York. And I knew D'Antoni would let me play my game, right? A lot of people at that time thought I was only a pick-and-roll guy and I only could do these things. And I'm like, that's far from the truth. So when I got to New York, I knew D'Antoni would allow me to play my full game. And that's what I was able to accomplish that first half of that season. And I was playing team basketball. I was getting everybody involved with Wilson Chandler, Raymond Felton, Gallinari. All these guys were playing, having career years. And then once we brought in another superstar like Carmelo, he requires a lot of attention. So when Melo comes to our team, the ball is not moving as much because Melo requires a lot of attention. He's one of the offensive greats. So when he gets to basketball, he's looking to score. And so a lot of the cohesiveness somewhat faded away during that time. And then I also started suffering some injuries year 2, year 3, battling back and forth. And that's kind of how things panned out throughout that time in New York. We tried our best. We gave it all we got, but we just couldn't get over the hump.
All right. So rate that take in the chat. 1 being trash, up to 5 being facts. What do we think about that? Amare Stoudemire on why things did not work out for the Knicks. I'm going to give it a 5. I'm going to give it a 5, being facts. I think a lot of fans were tighter at stat. I'm going to give it a 5. I thought he spoke facts. He spoke his truth. And he spoke a lot of what we all knew here in New York. So let's break this thing down bit by bit. Where a lot of the soundbite is generating reaction is the Melo take. He was right. Carmelo was a tough fit here with the Knicks because of his offensive strengths and tendencies. It was not easy. We all saw that neither one of those guys could coexist as a tandem as much as we wanted it to. It could never work. D'Antoni couldn't get it to work. Woodson couldn't get it to work. What's also true is that they didn't have the players to play with to have a sustainable success and a sustainable program here during their careers together. They didn't have the players. The front office panicked. They tried to save face from the LeBron decision fiasco. They got desperate, brought Amare in here, got desperate, pushed the button early to trade for Carmelo, gutting the depth. And so when he got here, there was nobody to play with until the 2012-2013 season when they had all of the veterans and they got the 54 wins and made it to the 2 seed. So the idea that it was Melo's fault because he wasn't passing the ball to Jared Jeffries, I'm not passing it to Jared Jeffries either. Go get buckets. No, I'm not passing it to Billy Walker, Sean Williams, and those guys. Go get buckets, and that's what Melo did. 50 points on straight jumpers, 63 points, franchise record. Melo did his job. He showed up every night, did his job. They made the playoffs 3 years in a row with a scrap heap team every single year. Win, lose, or draw, Melo held himself accountable. Flaws and all. When they finally did put talent around him, the team was good. They won 54 games. They got to the second seed. And had they not lost the first game against the Pacers, they might have won that series. And you never know what they could have done with the Heatles. Maybe they challenge them for a game or two. So when you finally add Jason Kidd, Rasheed Wallace, Marcus Camby, Kurt Thomas, Pablo Prigioni, when you finally add smart veteran players, the team was good. Melo also had good teams in Denver when they had a solid supporting cast. The Knicks did not have the supporting cast to be a great team. And lastly, as Amare said, the injuries derailed everything. Everybody knew when the Knicks got Amare, it was a ticking time bomb. It was only a matter of time before his body betrayed him. He had a fantastic run the first half of the season, just as he said. Remember when he dropped 30 points for 9 consecutive games? He was at an all-star level. He made the all-star team. He was incredible. He was an MVP caliber player during that first half. Fantastic. But his body betrayed him. And every year after that, it got worse and worse and worse. He has the back injury in the pre-games of Game 2 in the Boston series after dropping 28 in Game 1. Carmelo, despite that, tries to win the game for them. They couldn't win it. They get swept. The Heat series, the next year, he punches the fire extinguisher, chops his hand up, and is good to nobody for the rest of the series. The next year with the Woodson team, he has the knee debridement, and his knee just basically just shot out from him. His knee just shot out from underneath him. But Amare held himself accountable in that clip. He said he got injured. And that, to me, when people go back on that time and want to blame Melo, I always say the biggest problem with that era was Amare's injuries. To me, that was the biggest problem. Couldn't stay healthy. Because you can argue the fit, well, with two talents like that, the talent alone, they might have been able to make it work to a certain extent. But he wasn't even available to try it out. So to me, everybody has a share in this. You want to blame Melo? Certainly is your right. I thought the organization had a lot to do with it in how they panicked to make these moves, and Stat had a big part of it, that he wasn't even there. Can't help how your body betrays you. The fire extinguisher thing was just stupid, but the rest, you can't help how your body breaks down. He wasn't sustainable. And everybody talking to Melo ball hawk thing, what do you want him to do? You want to pass him to Tony Douglas to get us a W? We ain't passing the ball, man. Get buckets. Who passes to Billy Walker? Why Melo ain't passing to Billy Walker tonight? Why you think? It's Melo's fault because he didn't make Mindaugas Kuzminkis a better player. Look, again, at the time, I think the most realistic Knicks fans knew it was never going to work out. It looked great. We had 2 All-Stars. We were starving for some sort of relevance. They made it very interesting in 2012-13. Very fun. A lot of fun in 2012-13. They made it interesting. And ultimately, you bring in Bargnani the next year. It was just a lot of just nonsense. The coaching carousel, the Phil thing, the Bargnani thing. Think about all the forces and the factors involved in this equation. You had these two all-stars that couldn't play together. Maury injuries. General management can't untie their own knots. Just can't get over it. Mistake after mistake after mistake. Coaching carousel. Phil Jackson just doing God knows what with the team. There was just a lot of chaos, man. There was a lot of chaos. But anyway, thank goodness for the Brunson era. Thank goodness for the Brunson era. Father Peace, Knicks management failed Melo. Although he gave up a lot for him, they failed to build a team around him. They're part of it. Should they have amnestied Amare, the CP3 thing, the Tyson thing? I thought Tyson was great for the Knicks, so I would have made the Tyson deal all over again. I like Tyson with the Knicks. That was a good move. So, yeah. I'm going to give it a 5. I'm going to give it a 5, man.